This is how I stay alive. Nicotine and caffeine. I am not an addict. Swear to God. What's up, everybody? Another beautiful day in Azeroth, and today we're taking a look at Waycrest Manor 24 on Fortified as an Enhancement Shaman. So for the first pull here, again, not really any big brain tech. You just go full pad blast, make sure you get your Primordial Wave out, and nuke him down. The only thing you want to keep on doing here is making sure they're interrupted. We have the Vengeance Demon Hunter tech who just chains his sigils constantly, but otherwise you can knock up to interrupt them and end cap and all the good stuff. Because these aren't dangerous at all as long as they're not getting cast off. Then we're going into a big pull where 1 out of 3 Bloodlust classes were supposed to press Bloodlust, but none of us did. It's a good thing we only had 2 Shamans and an Augvoker, no one presses Bloodlust. So we pull everything around, and if you do a pull like this before we die, the most important cast of any cast in this dungeon is whenever there's a Bewitched Captain up, it's their Spirited Defense, because it will buff everyone it hits or everyone around it with a huge damage reduction that you have to purge off. So if you have, 10 mobs, that's 10 purges you gotta do. So for the love of interrupt Spirited Defense. Otherwise, it's the Acolyte's Infected Thorn, and when the toads die, so you can see here, they drop green goo on the ground. It's not that easy to see here. But there's green goo. If you stand in it, you'll take damage, but you'll also get disoriented, which is what happens to the poor tank here. I think he took the tail end of it. There it is. He got disoriented. I got punished. But we were also supposed to have Bloodlust there, so I guess stuff happens. Make sure to watch out for the Captain's Shadow Cleave Frontal, and like I said, drop the damn Spirit Defense. Otherwise, it's not much to it. I usually focus down the Captain because it's the one thing that's going to mess up any of your pulls if there is a Captain in it. I usually funnel into them, Elemental Blast and all this good stuff. Otherwise, you can just tab target around and Chain Lightning if you want to. It's not super important that they die first. I'm just very afraid of them because I've seen many pulls go south. But due to this, we get Bloodlust on first boss, which isn't bad either. It's on Tyrannical, that's what you gotta do, but in Fortified it would have been better on the trash pull. So for the Witch's Council, first mob is Selena that you smack down. We just auto spread our flame shocks to them with Lava Lash, but we don't tab target for Lashing Flame because the other 2 bosses take less damage when they're not holding the Iris. Smack everything into the main target, but you use the other 2 to funnel. So you want to make sure they have Flame Shock up, you want to make sure Crash Lightning is running so you cleave. You should run D-Curse for this dungeon. Whenever Melee is active, you get the curse circle on you. And if you have it, you can just move away from people and D-Curse yourself. Just keep in mind that when you dispel yourself or D-Curse, the AoE still goes off. The only thing you're doing is giving more space to everyone else and yourself. So if you just insta-pop it, you will hit everyone. So do make sure to run out, then D-Curse yourself. For Briar, when she's up, if you get the Jagged Nettle and they can't, bop it away or anything like that, you want to make sure to Healing Surge yourself to help the healer, because you need to get up above 90%. You can also run Ancestral Guidance when Jagged Nettle goes out to again help healer. Doesn't matter if it goes on you or anyone else. Like if Jagged goes out, you can just pop AG and help heal it. Otherwise, like I said, just use the other mobs to funnel whichever is the active one. You want to make sure to interrupt the Bramble Bolts on Briar most of the time, even when she's not active, so we have a kick rotation for it going on. Earth Shield is good. Remember the Earth Shield. We hop up to the next one. Same thing here. You're going to have a Captain in it. You're actually going to have only 1 Captain in it, but you're going to have a Witch as well. So normally what I do here is I make sure the Spirited Defense is kicked. Here, I should have decursed myself. I did, because if you get targeted by we've gone too far. There we have. So the circle, the runic mark that's on me is a curse as well. So if you get this, just move away, decurse yourself. I don't even know if you have to move away, I'm actually not sure. Either way, I make sure the Captain is interrupted, the Spirited Defense, and then I funnel all my damage into the Rune Weaver, the big witch. Such a witch. And she's got that resting witch face as well, because it has way more health, and the etch is incredibly scary on Fortified, especially as enhancement. If you get targeted by it, it just hurts. So focus down the Rune Weaver, make sure the Captain's Spirited Defense is interrupted, otherwise you can knock up in cap, things like that for the runic bolt that the disciples do. And when the Rune Weaver is dead, I usually turn my focus to the captain to make sure they die. We have a second captain in here, but someone else is taking that kick than me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just tap around, smack him down. Then we're going for some sketchy pulls after this. So we're doing the tree pull here. So tank is away getting some doggos and some thorn shapers. I believe I do some messed up shit here. My main focus here would be thorn shapers and make sure their infected thorn is going off. It's a disease, it does a lot, and not every group can deal with a lot of diseases. Regardless, you really want to interrupt it. Watch out for the roots that drop on the ground. Yeah, you can also funnel stuff into thorn guards because they have way more health than everything else, but the thorn shapers are a lot more scary. And the thorn guards blow up when they die. For this pack, mainly keep the thorn shapers interrupted again, stun, end cap, and then I focus all my damage into Brindle, the Coven Thorn Shaper, the big mob, the spooky Banshee. That one has, as you might have guessed, way more health than anything else. So that's the one you want to slap down. But you don't want to slack on the interrupts for the Thorn Shapers. It's really annoying. Healer will thank you if you do it well. We do the boss. So here we can have the sadness. Spike goes out. I'm able to primordial wave it. Look how fast this dies now. Boom. Boom. Done. It's like 2 globals for me. Very nice, I like it a lot. As far as tips goes for this, well, always try to line up your primordial wave with the spikes and then pray you don't get spiked in the butt. Because you can do mad diff on these. Primordial wave will do an insane amount of damage on it, you get more haste. Yeah, it's just the good stuff. Whenever they go into the fire, make sure to max range the boss. Keep an eye on all these fiery dudes and dudettes. They really hurt if they slap you, so you don't want to get close to. So here everything's going, you know, smooth sailing and spike. And you can see here, I'm not killing it now. Look how slow it goes. And then it's just stuck on 15. Like, I don't know if they swapped off or not. I remember the Havoc yelling, I have no fury, but I'm like, the percentage isn't moving. People has had to swap off. Regardless, I digress. Then I get stunned again, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna blast, and then it just right up the poop chute. And they pop like everything to keep me alive there. You can see darkness going, the healers is going crazy. There it dies.
5 hours later.
So yeah, getting spiked as enhancement is Giga feels bad. We get another one, and then I get spiked again. So the reason this is an issue for us currently is because we have an Augvoker who doesn't do any damage to it. It buffs, you know, our Demon Hunter, but it doesn't really do any burst on it. But it is what it is. The other thing you can do is line up the burning brush thingy with Ancestral Guidance. See? Thorns go out. I'm able to blast. Although I didn't have Primordial Wave up, so he died. If I had, he would have lived. Here you have the Fire Boys. Why am I running over them? But I don't have aggro on them anyways, so it's fine. But yeah, line up Ancestral Guidance whenever tank runs into the fire. And also a thing you can do, but it's very stressful for the healer, but it's what we're doing here. We just chain it into the fire because one DPS is dead. And you can see here I get stunned with our Havoc dead. So there is literally 0% chance I can get out of this stun, but we killed the boss anyway. But that's why we kept dragging it into the fire, because it doesn't do the thorns during the fire. And then boss dies. But yeah, that one is scary. I do not look forward to doing this on 24 plus on Tyrannical. We were trying to do a cheese mechanics, but it seems they have fixed it. So our Augvoker got absolutely ruined. You can see here by all the spit. Every single maggot spat on him. There he goes. And he did. So for a pack like this, depending on what mobs you have in it, if there is one of the dinner bell mobs, I don't remember what they're called, you want to funnel that. Otherwise, it's just even Steven Cleave or focus down like the Gorger. Make sure to in-cap, knock up the frontals. And whenever maggots are up, make sure to interrupt their infest. Also, keep an eye on like if they jump the Gorgers or anything, but we kept them kind of locked down. But you see there, 3 maggots spawned because we missed an interrupt. And I think tank was away getting more mobs, so could have gone bad. So whenever there's stewards in the pack, which are the ones doing the big circle that you have to run out, regardless, I funnel everything into the stewards because they have way more health than anything else, and you just want them to die, you know, at the same time as the rest of the packs. If possible, you want to wind rush one or two of these dinner bells. If you pop it, you know, just as the dinner bell goes out, sometimes you can have it up for the next one as well. But it just makes it easier. You don't have to wind rush, but it makes your group happy. Ooh, I'm so fast! But yeah, don't get hit by the dinner bell and make sure the stewards die. Not much to say here. It's just peasants and maggots and piglets. Focusing down the steward here. Making sure it dies as evenly as possible as everything else. Always trying to get my 6-stack primordial wave out fast. So like I said, on AoE, when you're generating a lot, you can see my Feral Spirit is already back again, and I pop it, and I almost have primordial wave back again for them. Whenever there's Rotten Expulsion, you can turn around, Flame Shock, and spread it to get more primordial wave targets, but it depends on how trigger happy the rest of your group is. If they're really trigger happy, you're not gonna have time. But it's great to, you know, get a few extra targets from that. Otherwise, it's when you get into the intermission and all these servants spawn around, you wanna, which I don't do here because I'm dumb, but what you wanna do is instantly turn around, Flame Shock one of them, keep slapping boss, turn around, Flame Shock another one, and then you know, primordial wave. But we were gonna grip him up, which we do. I just wasn't aware of the timing for it, so I mess everything up in a minute. So you see, here's all these servants. And they were, so I knock it up even there, and I mess up everything by doing Thunderstorm there. It was really bad. Don't do that. I wasn't aware of the timing. But if you do grip him in, you can, you know, primordial wave all of them and just nuke it down. If you don't grip him like that, turn around, flame shock them individually, maybe primordial wave one of them, and then you send your primordial wave, you do mad damage to all of them, you get a ton of haste, and then you can run around and slap them down. And you can use in-cap, Thunderstorm, and things like that to keep them away. Frost Chuck to slow, you name it. Moving on. Boop. When you go into the kitchen, it's usually filled with maggots and witches. For this, just focus the Rune Weaver. Just make sure to, you know, open with getting Flame Shock out on all the maggots before they die. So as soon as the Rune Weaver is attackable, you can primordial wave her, lightning bolt, you get 40% haste, and you can slam her down. If you get targeted by Etch, this one, run out, decurse. But if you get targeted by Etch, just be prepared to perhaps throw a healing surge on yourself if needed, because it is very dangerous. All the way down into the basement. So for this one, depending on how you do your pull, there's a captain up, so I will focus on keeping it interrupted so the spirit defense doesn't go off. There it is. But then I swap back to the Rune Weaver and funnel that one down because it has the most health, and again, Etch is scary. If you're not doing the spirited defense, you can also interrupt the infected thorn from the Thorn Shaper. On Tyrannical, sometimes they pull this with the big mini-boss Banshee that walks around. If she's in the pack, she is the one you funnel from. But you usually don't pull her on Fortified. We're gonna do it because we messed up our percentage somewhere. And this one is really a really dumb pull unless you're very coordinated, and we weren't. If we had gone in again and done the dungeon right after, probably. But you have to interrupt as many soul bolts as possible, as well as scar soul from the essences. And you need to have interrupts for all the soul charmers' soul volley. And when they're standing in the candles, you also need to interrupt whatever they're casting to get them out. You want to keep everything but the soul charmers stunned, knocked up, in-capped, silenced, you name it. And then focus your manual interrupts on the soul charmers. But it takes a lot of coordination, and if you mess it up like we did, you die real fast because they hurt. With only one soul charmer, it's mainly the soul charmer that's gonna mess you up. Everything else is pretty manageable, except the soul charmer, because you can't stun them and you can't in-cap them or anything. You can only interrupt them. Other thing to keep in mind, whenever there is a soul charmer and they're doing their warding candles, keep an eye on it so you don't, you know, throw away a 6-stacked primordial wave lightning bolt right into mobs that take 50% reduced damage. So do keep an eye on that. Major sadness if you waste all your dam into the damage reduction. Don't touch me, Shade! So going over to Lord and Lady Waycrest. You can flame shock Lady Waycrest when she's playing her piano, doing her keys in a key. But you get Flame Shocker like I do there, so you can, not only does it give you more damage in the form of Ashen Catalyst stacks, which reduces Lava Lash cooldown and increases Lava Lash damage, but you get an extra target for Primordial Wave, which not only damage Lady Waycrest, which is good, but gives you more haste to smash Lord Waycrest with. But other than that, there's really not a lot of tech you can do here. You can interrupt her Racking Cord, even though she's there. I think you can do it even though she's there. If you get the circle on you, max range, wait for the spell or wait for it to run out. But it's pretty much it. Yeah, it's pretty much it. Just make sure to Flame Shock Lady Waycrest when she's at the side, so you have an extra target for that. When they're both down, you want to start Crash Lightning, as you get the buff for more Maelstrom generation, and then you just tab target both for Lashing Flame. Tab target, nuke him down. Doesn't really matter who you smack down, but for these, the horrors, it's pretty much all about just keeping him CC'd. Stun, end cap, knock up, Rudy Roots, Fear, whatever you have, just don't let him move, because it's when they jump around everything starts hurting a metric ton. But for a pack like this, I just Chain Lightning AoE pad as much as possible, maybe throw a Elemental Blast if one of them has a lot of health compared to something else. For the last boss, there's some Primordial Wave tech you can do, but it's just because it spawns adds. So on pull, I'm gonna Primordial Wave Wolfies into Elemental Blast, as you can see here, boom. But as soon as the ad spawns, I'll spread Flame Shock to it, and then I'll press Lightning Bolt. So not only do I blast down the ad, I also get more haste for the boss. So it's always good to make sure you can pad on the ad. And you can use Thunderstorm Knockup to interrupt the Death Lens, and you can in-cap them as well. And then we have another ad, we Primordial Wave it, slap it down. Should have been dead there. We slacked a bit. I was focused on smashing bows. I mean, that's pretty much the tech here. Make sure to interrupt Dark and Lightning. Make sure Death Lens is interrupted by either in-cap totems or knockups. And make sure to Flame Shock Slavers, or whatever they're called, the tiny mobs. Usually on a Tyrannical Key, I might, you know, actually target the small ads and funnel them down because they have a lot more health then. But on a Fortified, I usually just AoE cleave him down, because whenever we can cleave, we will do more boss damage. So unless they really need to die fast, just focus boss. The only time they need to die fast is if you cannot interrupt their stuns or their death lens. So if that's the case, then you need to swap and burn them down. But as long as you can stun them, they're not really dangerous. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Waycrest Manor.